everyone, welcome to another edition of Tech Talks with nasscom Insights. I'm Prerna Buckshee, Senior Analyst, part of the GCC's Digital Transformation and Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Charters at nasscom Insights, and I'll be your host for the day. The theme of today's episode is GCC 4.0, the redrawn blueprint in a hyperconnected world. So our conversation today will primarily focus on the significant trends, insights, drivers, as well as the evolution of India's GCC landscape, especially in the last couple of years. We will also deep dive into some of the key catalysts that are expanding and shaping the contours of India's unabated growth story, such as India's engineering prowess, next-gen talent code, digital transformation, mastering network globalization, and fostering global leadership roles from India. Further, in our next episode, we will discuss the projected outlook for GCCs as they transition into the fourth wave of their evolution journey as a transformation hub. Also, all the above aspects and more have been comprehensively covered and explained in nasscom's latest GCC report titled GCC 4.0 India Redefining the Globalization Blueprint, in partnership with Zinnov and with Brookfield Properties as our industry partners. But we will talk about the report a little later. For now, on behalf of nasscom Insights, I would like to welcome our three distinguished panelists: Mohammed Faraz Khan, Head of GCoE Accelerator Practices at Zinnov; Amit, who is heading the Global Business Solution Centers in India for Swiss Re; and Shantanu Chakraborty, Executive Vice President and Regional Head for South India from Brookfield Properties. Welcome to the discussion, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Great. So we will start with a brief introduction of our esteemed panelists. I will start with Faraz. So Mohammed Faraz heads the GCoE Accelerator practice gap at Zinnov. He has 15 plus years of experience in management consulting and advisory. During his tenure, Faraz has worked with Fortune 1000 companies and provided thought leadership and advisory around center transformation, as well as driving greater value for global organizations from India, which includes working closely with companies in driving innovation, collaborating with the ecosystem, and managing talent effectively. He has also enabled companies to benchmark themselves against the industry and identify best practices and initiatives to grow up the maturity curve. In his last 6 years at Zinnov, Faraz has also advised organizations on their transformation strategies, as well as various tangential themes, including building a culture of innovation, ecosystem collaboration, driving lean operations, running shared services, and so on. Next, we have with us Amit, who is Head Global Business Solution Centers for Swiss Re in India. With global financial expertise spanning nearly 20 years, Amit Kalra is the Managing Director at Swiss Re Group, bringing to the table diverse experience in executive and strategic leadership, business transformation, and innovation for value creation. He leads Swiss Re's Global Business Solutions Centers in India that are present in Bangalore and Hyderabad, with a setup of over 2,000 professionals across the reinsurance value chain. As the head of this business solution, technology and operations hub of the Swiss Re Group, Amit is responsible, along with his counterparts, to help accelerate Swiss Re's competitiveness in the market by excelling in core business and technology capabilities, and enabling transformation through R&D focused initiatives, innovation, and differentiation. Amit joined Swiss Re in 2007, where he established and steered the Economic Research and Consulting India team. Ascending to a leadership role, he helmed the analytics and non-life actuarial teams as well. In his previous role as head of strategy, he drove growth, strategy, and capability building initiatives for GBS India. Next, we have with us Shantanu Chakraborty, Executive Vice President and Regional Head of the South India Office Business for Brookfield Properties. Shantanu has been instrumental in building a scalable office development and management platform for the Brookfield office business in India. He is also responsible for the region's P&L, including projects, business development, leasing, tenant relationship, and property management. Shantanu has over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry across investment and asset management, with an ability to mitigate investment risk and enhance returns. Prior to joining Brookfield Properties, he worked with AIG Global Real Estate India Advisors, JLL India, eValueServe, and M&K Consultant. A very warm welcome to all of you once again, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Prerna.
Great. So now, before we dive into the discussion, I would request Faraz to set the context with a brief introduction of our latest GCC report titled GCC 4.0 India Redefining the Globalization Blueprint. Which I was referring to a while ago. The biennial report has been published in continuation to the 2021 edition of the nasscom Zinnov GCC India Landscape report and was launched at our recently concluded GCC Conclave 2023. I would request and highly recommend everyone to get their hands on a copy of this insightful publication, which is now live on the nasscom website and community. So Faraz, over to you now.
Hey, thanks, Prerna, and thanks for setting that context. Firstly, we are super excited to launch this biennial study in partnership with nasscom and Brookfield Properties. So as most of you are aware, this report acts as a gold standard for the GCC industry and as almost a reference document for organizations to benchmark their growth in India, right? Not only that, a lot of large global MNCs considering India as a globalization destination typically, extensively leverage this study to make decisions on entering the country, right? Specifically on the report, as the title suggests, the crux of the study captures how India today is completely relooking and redefining the globalization phenomenon, right? So just take you a little, back in time when globalization was first thought of. Companies really set up to perform support work from mainly, for legacy type of work, products, right, and manage end-to-end back-end operations. This then moved into a stage where India took up, a part ownership of certain functions, modules, or features of a product, and in several cases, portfolios that are not very critical to the business. Right. But more recently, we've seen a shift, right? We've seen a shift of over the past 8 to 10 years. We've seen India taking up ownership of end-to-end high growth products. We've seen several global organizations driving innovation from India. They manage multiple global operations portfolios, right, through what we call as the structured GBS setups, creation of tech and process centers of excellence, and also incubating global roles, right? So this is something that we've seen over the past 8 to 10 years. However, what we found significantly different today, that GCCs are completely rewriting the game plan around what GCCs were originally meant to be. Right. Today, you see examples of global centers having ownership across several concept stage products. Right. They are also responsible for newer market entry strategies. Right. Ideating, the addition of newer product lines for the global organization. We've also seen, budding examples of incubating business or GM roles in the country. And also monetizing the services and tools that are built from by India teams, right? So these are just mammoth paradigm shifts that are happening as we speak. And I'm glad that, India is leading the way in showcasing this true potential of what a global hub can achieve, right? So that's a significant shift that we've captured in the report. And like you mentioned, I think everyone should grab a copy of the same. So some of the stats from the report, right, just from a numbers point of view, as of FY 2023, about 1,580 plus GCCs that have established over 1,700 GCC units in India. So these organizations put together, kind of generate services worth, in excess of USD $45 billion, right? And that's growing at a CAGR of about 12% over the past decade, which is a significant growth. Also, these organizations employ about 1.7 million talent across engineering, IT, and BPM functions, and over 150 unique MNCs have set up their center over the past couple of years, right? And in a lot of cases, we've seen these centers being the first centers outside of their headquarter company, right? Headquarter country rather, right? Which is a significant move and trust in the India ecosystem. Also, just to round off those insights, about 65% of these GCCs are headquartered predominantly in the US and continues to be one of the largest locations from where these organizations are moving here. From a footprint perspective, Bangalore clearly takes the lion's share, about 30% of them in of the GCCs in the city, followed by NCR at 16%, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Pune, continue to grow at about 12%. An interesting fact about Hyderabad is it's one of the fastest growing destinations when it comes to both new setups as well as existing organizations in India expanding to the location. With healthcare, BFSI, semiconductor verticals are increasingly getting into the Hyderabad ecosystem. Apart from, of course, it being a software in internet hub, which is always been right. And lastly, from a emerging city angle, there are about 215 GCC units present in these locations. Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, and Coimbatore are the by far the most advanced tier 2 city hubs. And clearly, reverse migration that basically came about during the COVID and the remote and hybrid models of working is driving the talent growth there. So those are the things that we really see we've captured in the report. And clear shift towards driving value and becoming an integrated part of the larger global organization there.
Great. Thanks, Faraz. Thanks. That was really insightful and indeed a very comprehensive overview of the key highlights of the report. So thank you for that. Without further ado, I will now like to jump straight into the questions. So to begin with, I would like to understand from all of you what, in your opinion, are the top 3 headwinds and tailwinds that have reshaped the GCC landscape in the last 2 years, precisely FY 2021 to 23. Essentially, these would be the key factors that have induced the metamorphosis of GCCs in the last couple of years. And I would request you to share your perspectives, not just from the standpoint of your specific entity or the vertical your respective enterprises hail from, but from a broader GCC ecosystem standpoint. I would request you, Amit, to kickstart the discussion.
Sure. Thanks, Prerna, and thanks Faraz for setting the context and the overview. So last couple of years, they have been extremely dynamic, and eventful across the world, whether it's the aftermath of COVID, geopolitical tensions, acceleration of digital agenda, changing behaviors, new trends on the, work life, flexible work models, and there are multiple such things. Yeah, but I think overall GCCs have actually gone through this and come strongly. So it was quite a test of resilience for the GCCs, and they very quickly pivoted into growth and the transformation agenda. Right now, specifically when it comes to tailwinds, so let me talk from firstly the group level. So whether you talk about insurance, banking, retail industry, or anything, so there has been a massive wave of digital transformation. So there has been an accelerated transformation, at the industry level, at the company level, which has actually, triggered companies to look at GCCs in terms of further advancing, their capabilities around tech, business side. The companies are also looking at, what's the right balance when it comes to keeping the talent in-house or when you should outsource. I think one of the realization also because of geopolitical tensions or supply chain side was that when it comes to core critical platforms, in few organizations, they were heavily exposed. And you don't want that IP, to stay outside, and especially as business and technology is getting more and more integrated. So this entire wave around digital transformation has actually driven the organization and industries, to start scaling up their GCCs and build those niche capabilities. Now, at the GCC level, Faraz did mention about this evolution of the GCCs. So I think one of the outcome of this evolution cycle has been trust and credibility, of GCCs, that they are not just an operational setup, but they can actually transform, they can accelerate some of the global strategy and agenda for the larger group, right? So the past evolution, the broader portfolio of activities, this credibility has only increased the confidence that more is possible, right? And I think every group or every GCC understand it's a developmental journey. You cannot really do things overnight, but there is a shift of more and more complex global responsibilities towards GCC. Yeah. The third thing is this entire vibrant talent and innovation ecosystem in the country. Of course, we keep on talking about talent as limiting factor. Yeah, it's also a headwind, but from my perspective, it's a tailwind, right? I'm sure every year we have 500,000 tech graduates who are coming in, and the same applies for finance, risk, and various other job families that we are talking about, right? So that provides a natural advantage to the country. In terms of tailwinds, I think we have already experienced that. So last year, of course, yeah, because of the growth strategy being pursued by everyone, yeah. So there was competition for attracting, retaining top talent, leaders, niche skill sets. So that was there, but I believe that is stabilizing, and we will find the right equilibrium next year. Then the other aspects, more from the GCC standpoint, is how do we the right mindset shift, right? Because in the GCCs, more from the past, the focus has been extremely high on execution, and how do you make it more entrepreneurial, ownership driven, so that you start driving those topics forward, and then continued investments in leadership are required. So that would be my summary about these trends.
Great insights. Thanks, Amit. Thanks for sharing those. And Shantanu, would love to know your thoughts on the same as well.
No, thank you, and thanks Faraz and Amit, for kind of setting it up. Look, I mean, we at Brookfield Properties are more like support systems for GCCs, enablers for GCCs.
Right.
So one thing that I can pick up from the way real estate demand is, and how that translates into what this whole transformation of GCC is all about. Not so long ago, the ITs has been the demand for real estate, the larger line share of demand for real estate. And those were led by third-party service providers, right?
Okay.
And we used to call them, in our parlance, space guzzlers. That has changed. In the last 2 to 3 years, we are seeing that demand shift coming heavily from the GCCs. And how they are kind of coming into India or expanding in India. So it's one thing to say so many GCCs are being set up, so many are
Right.
growing, but we are at our end in our business seeing the impact of it from the way the demand in real estate is panning out. So that's point number one. In terms of trying to set the context. In terms of the tailwinds, Amit spoke a little bit about the talent. What I would like to add to the fact that right today in the global environment, it is very, very important to deal with diversity of thoughts, of ideas, and make business sense out of it. India is possibly the only country in the world where dealing with diversity is best exemplified because it's in our DNA, it's in our culture, right? I mean, we
True.
call it unity in diversity.
Right.
And I think that is translating itself into the leadership positions for Indians in the global economic framework and the global, the commerce and the trade. So that's why you see more and more, global leaders are Indians today.
Right.
And that is possibly is a very great tailwind for India. And as far as the STEM, the talent pool is concerned,
Right.
I think apart from the deep capability of this talent pool, the talent pool is also becoming extremely agile in how to upskill itself, which is very, very critical, and this GCC ecosystem is also enabling it to do all of that. So I think those are the broad things that we are seeing today in terms of how GCC landscape is going to is changing. And in typically the last 2 years, we just look at the last 2 years, which is the era of this whole COVID and the aftermath of the COVID, the
Right.
kind of resilience India has shown, right? Where while our personal lives are affected like nothing, right?
Right.
The businesses continued almost as is, right?
Right.
Its ability to turn back and come, and then that is, and when we talk to our clients, who are the GCCs all across, they say they've said that in multiple conversations that we have had, and that's what driving it. That trust that whatever may happen in the world, India will continue to deliver is a very, very big trust factor that the
Yes.
global leadership, global HQ has understood. And that's why, India is possibly the center of any business strategy of any organization today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks so much. Very interesting thoughts, Shantanu. Thanks for sharing that. And you're right. We've also seen. I think time and again, GCCs have proven their anti-fragility attribute. It's sort of a time-tested thing now. So that's very well put. Also, as we witness GCCs increasingly turning into mini HQs and innovation hubs, I would like to understand your viewpoint on the autonomy of GCCs. I mean, are they increasingly becoming independent enterprises in themselves, or are we seeing a more integrated, seamless extension of the headquarters in the GCC? And I would request you to shed some light on this for us, please, Amit, to start with.
Shall I start?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Mhm.
No, so definitely, if you look at the terminology and the evolution of the terminology, how we have actually called these centers, it started
Yes.
off with shared service center, then we started talking about captives, then global in-house centers, now global capability centers. I guess the way forward, and if I have to really draw out what the ideal state, should look like, it should be no terminology at all. Why do you want to keep a distinction of these centers, from the rest of the organization? I don't think, you would have heard any Fortune 500 company to say, for me, New York is this, for me, London is that, for me, Zurich is that. Of course, every location has its own unique capability. They will also have center of excellence, specific areas where they would like to advance on R&D hubs in certain markets. Maybe at the start it was important to give a bit of distinct identity to put in investments. And I'm not saying we are at the ideal state. Yeah, we still need to make in a lot of effort investment. But
Right.
in terms of our mindset approach, we should really start thinking of these centers as a fully integrated enterprises, right? Microcosm is great, right? Because we don't also want limited impact on the group strategy. Yeah. So if we can really mirror the entire value chain of the organization in India through multiple centers and through other centers globally, and it just depends where is the right talent, right? Where is the right leader, and that would just mean that we are breaking all the glass ceilings, and the global leadership roles are based out of anywhere, including India. Right. So that's the ideal state I would like to see. And if we are making a lot of distinction and looking at this as independent setups, I would always say the impact will be limited. I think we have a great potential where we have technology, business operations all together. I think get the best out of it, right? And look at solving global business problems from here.
Yeah. Thanks for those interesting insights, Amit. And Faraz, I would like you to share your perspective on this aspect as well.
Absolutely. So I love the way Amit put it, an ideal state where there is no distinction. I think that is absolutely the kind of North Star that we should all aspire to be. But the way we see it right now is GCCs are highly integrated as part of the global organization. There's no doubt about it, right? There's, in essence, they are to the point that was made earlier, they are indispensable in some sense, right? All decisions globally that are taken has to have India as part of that decision making. But they also have their independent identity, right? For what we are solving for. It could be technology, it could be deep capabilities around a particular CoE or process expertise, so on and so forth, right? So highly integrated, but having their individual identities as well. Also, from a structure point of view, if you look at it, GCCs might still be outside the core business lines as such, right? And working with them from the outside, but they are extremely well integrated, right, with the businesses, right, in terms of solving for business outcomes today, rather than just performing a piece of work, right? So that's long gone, and I think it's highly aligned and integrated with core business.
Wonderful, wonderful, interesting inputs. Thanks, Faraz, and thank you for sharing those thoughts, Amit and Faraz. And my next question is about the India value proposition from a GCC perspective. So, as I had mentioned earlier, that in our recent report also we deep dive into 7 key themes that underscore the GCC growth story, such as India's engineering prowess, new talent code with multi-generational and multi-dimensional talent increasingly being integrated into GCCs. GCC is acting as a sandbox for global leadership roles from India, spearheading accelerated digital transformation and innovation in the current digital era, and harnessing the power of globalization in a hyper-connected world. Now, I would like to understand from you all as to what do you believe are some of the key cornerstones that are instrumental in shaping, transforming the GCC growth story, as GCCs transcend into the 4th wave of evolution, becoming a transformation hub. So I would request Shantanu to start with, and please share your thoughts on the same.
Sure. And, thanks. I'll take cues from what Amit and Faraz spoke regarding the last question, and kind of just build it from there. I think the as we move into the 4th generation of GCC, and having participated in this growth story, as enablers or partners with the GCC. What we have seen is when we talk about independence, right? GCCs in India were earlier taking instructions from HQ. Basically, they were told that you do this thing and you send it back, right? What has changed, and that's where I would try to use the word independence in slightly more metaphorical manner, is the fact that today India is telling, hey, look, business, this is what we should be doing, and exporting the ideas, the product, product ideas, innovations, and all of that, across, to the extent, I can highlight one example where one of our clients said that when the global leadership visited the GCC, they came and looked at the offices and said, wow, this is the way I think our offices world over should look like, right? So it's happening across the spectrum. I mean that's quite, that example was quite irrelevant from the way we are looking at it, but the fact what the mindset is carrying, mindset the leadership is carrying back when they come and visit India is very different. So from that perspective, I feel as we move forward, I think India continues to become the cornerstone, right? I think more and more I would see the GCCs in India perform more like program management offices for global leadership, right? So essentially, everything that is related to strategy will be analyzed, processed, and done here, and possibly, they will also say that this is where you have to go and execute it, and that will become literally the powerhouse, which is like very, very indispensable. So I think that's where I feel the 4.0 of the GCC, would be, going forward, and it will happen possibly in every function of of any business, right? Whether it could be HR, it could be tech, it could be customer centricity, anything. So that's where I see it kind of going.
Right. Right. Thanks, Shantanu. Great thoughts, great inputs. Thanks for sharing that. And Amit, I would like to know your perspective on the same as well.
Sure. So I think we don't need to look at GCCs in isolation. So that's my fundamental belief, right? Because if we are talking about India value proposition, the true value proposition lies in a bit more broader thinking, holistic view, and more partnerships, right? So let's try to understand where we are sitting today, right? In terms of, I think on the GCC capability, Faraz has already talked about, what the growth has been, the kind of employment, the number of centers that we are talking about. We also have to understand India is the 5th largest economy, and maybe in 10 years' time, India will become the 3rd largest economy in the world, right? After US and China. And when it comes to startup innovation ecosystem, we are already 3rd largest, right, in terms of number of startups, or you take the number of unicorns globally. So here you have a very unique country in the world which offers scalable talent pool where the talent pool is abundantly available, right? And we have huge inflow year after year, and then you have strong outlook on both the domestic as well as the global front. And I think we have to look at this exchange, and the collaboration and the partnership. So even in case of Swiss Re, it's not that we are recruiting colleagues only from GCCs or tech companies. We are also recruiting colleagues from insurance companies, which are based out of India. We are recruiting colleagues from consulting firms, or risk modeling firms. So it's a very diverse kind of a skill set that we are talking about, because again, it goes back to what is the ambition we would like to have. I know that technology is the strong lever, but we don't want GCCs to be only tech focused. I mean, tech focus is always a starting point, but we want these to be tech business centers, right? So if you talk about headquarter of any multinational, you have all the business functions, technology sitting together. And I think that's an opportunity that we need to leverage to think broadly, that it's just another business tech center, and that's the unique India advantage, which will help us. And it will help both GCCs as well as the domestic industry to flourish over next decade.
Right. No, great inputs, wonderful thoughts. Thanks for sharing those, Amit, and very insightful. Faraz, I would request you to summarize as well as share your views on this theme as well.
Absolutely. So I think, wonderful, comments from both my co-panelists. Absolutely. I think in terms of just the value proposition of India, I think we just can't take away from the fact that we have perhaps the largest digital talent out there. In fact, if you look at the supply-demand gap for some of the digital skills, India is perhaps the only country where we have a very, very a single-digit supply-demand gap in some of these skills, right? And just given our average age, we're 27 versus the average age globally is about 32, 33 years. We're a very, very young nation, young population, highly scalable, right? So as a result, just with the right kind of approach across corporates, across universities, in partnership with the government, I think we are really destined to make a big mark across all of these areas that we're mentioning. Just that apart, right? I think a fundamental, and this was mentioned by both the panelists a little earlier, is a fundamental shift that we've seen, over the past decade is the mindset shift, right? Both at the headquarter levels and at the India leadership level. Firstly, from the headquarter lens, just the awareness of the art of possible from India and the confidence that global leaders have, in us and as an ecosystem, is just catapult, right? And the India playbook has become so popular globally that just large companies cannot do without it. And on the other hand, the belief of the India leadership around driving these strategic initiatives, right, creating these tectonic shifts in for the global organization is has really created that ecosystem for us to really be successful for our respective organization and drive our country towards progress.
No, great. Great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Faraz. That was very well rounded and a lot of great insights that we've been able to gather from this session. So thank you, panelists. It was really intriguing. With this, we come to the end of the episode 1 of our discussion about GCC 4.0, the redrawn blueprint in a hyper-connected world. Our conversation with Mohammed, Faraz Khan, Amit, Kalra, and Shantanu Chakraborty will continue. So stay tuned for part 2 of this discussion, where we will delve deeper into some more key growth pillars transforming the GCC landscape and also look at the projected outlook for GCCs going forward as they evolve into a transformation hub in the fourth wave of their development journey. Till then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NASSCOM Community and Insights YouTube channel. Thanks so much.